Hello guys, and welcome to another Decrepit Gaming video. As you'll see, I've got my binoculars on, and that's so I can actually see what I've written down here below. I've taken a few notes because I've got a memory of a mid-50s-year-old man, so anyway, here goes. Over the last day or so, there's been quite a lot of controversy over Games Workshop and their deletion of certain miniatures and miniature lines from the Age of Sigmar. It's not a game system that I play, at least currently, so it really doesn't mean that much to me, but I had noticed that an awful lot of people have an opinion, and an awful lot of the opinions are very negative. So in defense of Games Workshop, which can be indefensible at times, I'm going to put forward my case for why you shouldn't really be that concerned or surprised if you're a fan of Games Workshop in general and a fan of the hobby in general. I'm going to start with when I started playing Games Workshop products. I was probably 20 years old. I'm now in my early 50s, so well over 30 years ago, I started playing with a group of friends who we initially were role players. We'd been playing a lot of Rolemaster, Dungeons and Dragons, we'd been playing a Western role-playing game at the time, which was actually great fun. Can't remember the name of it. But anyway, at a friend's house one night we were role-playing, and I noticed in a closet in his room a Warhammer 4th edition box set, and my eyes lit up and I was like, what's that? So that's how it started. He pulled the box out, we had a look at the miniatures. I went, wow, because I'd been a Hero Quest fan, but never realized that this had expanded into a battles game with armies. So we had a group discussion. There was 4 or 5 of us there. It ended up probably 7 or 8 of us started playing Warhammer Fantasy Battle. My friend whose house we'd been at, who initially had the Warhammer starter set, went on to collect an Empire army, and he collected a big Empire army. He bought all of the knights. I can't remember the names of them. Knights of the White Wolf was one. Knights Panther, I think, was another. I can't remember. There was 4 or 5 at least houses of knights. He bought the steam tank, he bought the organ gun, he bought the whole heap over the next couple of years. And then Warhammer went to the 5th edition, and he bought his new Empire book, and he was disgusted because Games Workshop had decided not to include half to 3/4 of those knight units in his new book, so they didn't exist anymore. So he had spent quite a lot of money at the time on these models. Games Workshop's never been a cheap hobby. Never. It was never cheap. So anyway, he lost access to a bunch of those units. In fact, I'm pretty sure it put him off the entire army. He stopped really playing his Empire and started collecting something else. Can't remember what. Wood Elves or something like that. Also around that time, we'd started playing Warhammer 40k 2nd edition. And the same guy had bought a bunch of squats. He had bought the squats bikes and trikes and some squat warriors. I think he had some squats and exo armor. And then 3rd edition, Warhammer 40k came along, and Games Workshop had deleted all the squats on him. It's funny thinking back on it. And I can give you some examples of my own as well. And believe it or not, I'm defending Games Workshop when I say these stories. Another one I'll say is me and another friend got heavily into Epic. I really loved Epic 2nd edition. We had 1st edition as well, but it was more a May game. Second edition is where it really kicked off. I had, at one point, Tyranids, Eldar, a huge Chaos army, an Orc army. I loved that game, loved it to death. And Warhammer 40k, Warhammer Epic 40,000 got released. I understand that people like Andy Chambers had a brief and they didn't have much say in the matter, but it deleted my entire collection. Yes, you could still play Epic 2nd edition, but everyone always wants the newest and latest stuff. They don't want to play old editions. There are outliers, of course, and there are groups of people who still play 4th edition Fantasy Battle, and if there was one near me, that's what I would be doing. But they're few and far between. It tends to be one or two old grognards hidden in a shed somewhere in the middle of wherever, and they're just not available, these people. So anyway, moving on. 1995, I think it was, 96, something like that, Warhammer Quest came out. A fantastic game. A brilliant box set. Had, I want to say hundreds of miniatures, but certainly 100 miniatures anyway in it. All heroes, villains, bats, rats, minotaurs, you name it, it was in that box. And they released expansions for it, and I picked the expansions up. And then when it didn't sell enough, GW scrapped it. eBay, I'm not sure if eBay had come along at the time. It's probably prior to that, might have been Yahoo Auctions. Before eBay, there was Yahoo Auctions, which I actually preferred because it was cheaper to work and operate, and it was just as good as eBay at the time. Anyway, in my life, if I'm not using something, it'll either sit in a corner gathering dust or I will get rid of it. So, like an idiot, my Warhammer Quest stuff I got rid of. I eBayed it or Yahoo auctioned it and got rid of it. And unfortunately, Games Workshop have never reprinted that set, and it's like a dagger in the heart. I would love to have Warhammer Quest back again. I'm just not going to pay the absolutely price gouging prices that people are looking for it on the likes of eBay. There's guys want 4 figures for a box set of Hero Quest. Sorry, not Hero Quest, Warhammer Quest, which is not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. What else happened? Necromunda and Blood Bowl. Got heavily into Necromunda when it first came out. Also played a lot of Blood Bowl. Games Workshop deleted both of those. Yes, they're both available now, but for many years they weren't. They weren't available. The second-hand market, again, for years was ridiculous. Just full of guys selling things for ridiculous prices because they knew somebody would want it. What I'm trying to get at here is that nobody should be surprised when Games Workshop decides that they're going to delete something, whether that's an army, whether it's a series of miniatures, or like in Warhammer Fantasy Battle, where it's an entire world and game system. At the end of the day, Games Workshop are about making a profit, and they do it very well, apparently, for some reason. They have a cult-like following. I include myself because I have a love-hate relationship with Games Workshop. I hate their business practices. I love their models. I love their IP. I love their game settings. And most of the time, I love their game systems. So I just wanted to put this. I know, like, we all know what opinions are like. Everybody has one. So this is just my opinion. But what I suggest to anybody who's thinking of getting into a Games Workshop product of any description, just don't think you're buying into something that's going to be around in 5 or 10 years' time. Definitely not in 10 years, it will not be around. Perhaps it'll be around in a different guise. But here's the thing, if you're buying into a system with your friends, and your friends aren't always after the latest rule set and always after the latest army book or journal or codex or whatever that may be, make an agreement at the very beginning that you're going to stick to this edition, providing you'll play the latest edition that comes out, providing it hasn't made sweeping changes and huge cuts to your friend's army. Why would you want to do that to your friend? So I would just like to say that Games Workshop have always done this, and they always will do it, and they'll probably get more ruthless at it because of that many product lines now, and for some reason they won't pay to expand their production workshop anymore, so they're just not going to be able to produce the stuff, so they're just cutting the chaff, and they have sold that many of those Space Marine fantasy things that it's time to re-release them, probably make them 2mm bigger, and get all those people who have bought them previously to rebuy them. And some people will go, nope, not buying it. And do you know what Games Workshop think? Who cares? Someone else will buy them. You don't buy them, somebody else will buy them. If we've already got our $600 or whatever they have computed out of you, they don't care. That's just a plain fact. They do not care. They never have, unfortunately. A wee bit maybe back in the days of Brian Ansell. But at the end of the day, it was always a business. So it was always run like a business. Yes, they wanted to sell you toy soldiers, model soldiers, but it's a business. And once a particular line of soldiers becomes unviable or doesn't sell as well as the next line, they want to find that next line. They want to find the next thing, which is going to bring in the bucks, bring in the profit. So I can't really blame Games Workshop because they've always done this. So I think people need to just take a step back and remember, look at history and remember that the company whose game they love and support and want to play and want to paint, that this is their business practice, and it always has been. It's just probably more ruthless now. Anyway, I've bored you for long enough. I would like to thank you for watching this video, and I would let you know that there's going to be another Hero Quest video up, probably tonight. And I'm getting closer to finishing that base set off, and I'm really looking forward to getting it on the table and having some games. I'd like to thank you for watching, and if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. And don't be too disheartened by Games Workshop deleting your models, because it doesn't matter what you buy, eventually it's going to be deleted. That's just the way of it. There's nothing stopping you playing the 3rd edition of Age of Sigmar and keeping everything you've already got. There's nothing stopping that other than your opponent. And if your opponent's going to be a complete new edition guy, then you're going to have to make a decision. You're going to go forward and play the new edition and pack that other army back up in the lunchbox and put it away, or you're going to cut your losses. Maybe move to another Games Workshop game, or move to a different system produced by a different company. There's plenty of them about, and some of them are really good. Thank you for your time. I'll see you in the next video.